The sky was clear over New York City when the first alien ships appeared. They came silently like dark clouds that did not move with the wind. At first, people thought it was a mistake or some kind of military test. But then more ships arrived, big ones, huge metal shapes that blocked the sun. Across the world, scientists and soldiers watched their screens in shock. The ships were not from Earth. They were moving fast, faster than any human-made craft. Soon, every major city had something. In the sky above it, a floating warship watching, waiting. The United Nations called an emergency meeting. Generals, scientists, and leaders from every nation tried to understand what was happening. One thing became clear. This was not a visit. It was an invasion. Lisa Bennett was a tech worker in Washington, D.C. She used to work for the Army, but now she helped track space objects. When the alien ship showed up, she was among the first to see them on radar. She sent out warnings, but no one knew what to do. At the same time, Jake Monroe was flying a fighter jet near California. He was young, only 26, but already known for being fast and brave. When his commander told him to get ready for launch, he didn't ask questions. He just climbed into his cockpit and took off. In London, Dr. Marcus Hale watched the news with wide eyes. He had spent years studying alien life but never believed he would live to see one. Now he saw them on every screen. He called everyone he could, trying to tell the world that these beings might not be here to talk. They were here to fight. Then, the message came. It wasn't spoken. It was sent through every radio, every TV, every phone. The words were simple. Your planet has been chosen. Prove your strength. Survive. And then, silence. Some people cried, others prayed, many ran, but some stood tall. Among them was Lisa. She stayed at her desk, tracking the alien ships, trying to find a weakness. Jake flew higher, scanning the skies, ready for whatever came next. And Dr. Hale began to type, sending messages to anyone who would listen. Earth had never faced anything like this before. But even now, with the enemy above and fear below, one truth remained. Humans do not go down easy. The first attack came without warning. A bright flash lit up the sky above New York City. Then a wave of heat and sound smashed into the ground. Buildings crumbled, people screamed. The alien ships had begun their assault. In Washington, D.C., Lisa Bennett watched the destruction on her screen. She was still at her desk, eyes wide, fingers moving fast over her keyboard. She tried to send messages, to warn others, but most systems were already breaking down. Jake Monroe saw it too, from the cockpit of his fighter jet. He was flying high when the blast hit. His plane shook, alarms screamed, and for a moment, he thought he would lose control. He pulled hard on the stick and turned toward the enemy. He wasn't alone. Dozens of human pilots were in the air now, trying to fight back. They flew old jets, some built decades ago. They knew they were outgunned, but they flew anyway. Below them, the alien dropships opened like metal flowers. Strange, tall figures jumped out. They wore armor that shimmered like glass. Their weapons burned the air as they fired. On the ground, Dr. Marcus Hale ran through the streets of London. Smoke filled the sky. The government had gone silent. He had no idea if anyone was in charge anymore. He reached a small lab near the river. Inside, he found a few scientists who hadn't fled. They were watching reports from around the world. They're not targeting military bases, one said. They're hitting cities, monuments, places where people gather. Marcus stared at the screen. The Empire wasn't just trying to conquer Earth. They were testing it. Back in Washington, Lisa finally got through to a military base in Texas. The line was broken, full of static, but she could hear someone speaking. We're launching what we can. She sent them everything she had. Maps, data, anything that might help. Meanwhile, Jake dove toward the enemy ships. He fired his missiles one after another. 2 aliens exploded in fire. But more took their place. His radio crackled. This is command. I pull back. You can't win this, but Jake didn't turn away. He flew straight into the storm, because even now, with the sky burning and the enemy stronger than anyone imagined, there was still something the aliens didn't understand. Humans don't give up. Not easily. Not ever. Smoke still rose over New York when the second wave arrived. This time, the aliens came not just from the sky, but from the ground. Strange machines landed in open fields and city streets. They looked like insects made of metal, with long legs and glowing eyes. They moved fast. People ran. Some fought. Most just tried. To survive, in Washington, D.C., Lisa Bennett had left her desk. The building was empty now, most workers gone or dead. She walked through broken hallways carrying a small backpack of tools and data drives. She wasn't sure where she was going, only that she had to keep moving. She remembered something. One of the alien dropships had crashed near Pittsburgh. If it was still intact, maybe there was something inside, something humans could use. Meanwhile, Jake Monroe flew west. His jet was damaged, one engine smoking badly. He had no base to return to, no command to follow, so he flew toward the crash site too. Dr. Marcus Hale sat in the dark lab in London staring at his screen. Reports were coming in from all over the world. The aliens were testing Earth. Yes, but how? He watched video of one of the machines that had landed in Africa. It opened up like a seed blooming. Inside was a creature, not quite alive, not quite machine. It stood tall, scanned the land, then began to move. It wasn't destroying things. It was watching. Marcus leaned closer. This wasn't just war. It was study. He typed fast, sending messages to anyone who might still be listening. Back in the U.S., Lisa and Jake both reached the crash site. The ship was broken, half buried in the ground. Smoke rose from its sides. Soldiers were already there, local militia with old rifles and no real plan. Lisa stepped forward. "Don't shoot yet," she said. "We need to look inside." They hesitated but let her pass. Inside the ship, everything was strange. Walls pulsed with soft light. Wires moved like snakes. She found a small device on the floor, still glowing. She picked it up. A hum filled the air. The ship was still alive. And somewhere deep inside, something else might be too. Jake looked around, uneasy. If they could learn how this worked, maybe they could fight back, maybe even win, because humans don't just survive. They adapt. They build. They fight back harder. Lisa held the glowing device tightly as she stepped out of the broken alien ship. Smoke still rose from its twisted frame and the air smelled burnt and sharp. Soldiers stood around her watching, waiting. Jake Monroe paced nearby, his hands covered in soot from helping search the wreckage. "What is that thing?" he asked. "I don't know," Lisa said, "but it's not dead. Back in Washington, D.C., the government was gone. What was left of the military had moved underground. Reports came in from all over the world, cities burning, people fighting back, and strange alien machines moving like hunters through the ruins. In London, Dr. Marcus Hale worked nonstop. He had seen footage of the captured dropship and knew something big was happening. He sent messages to anyone who might still be listening. "We can learn this," he kept typing. "We can fight back." Meanwhile, teams of engineers and hackers gathered around Lisa and the device. They didn't have fancy labs or tools anymore. They had basements, garages, and whatever power they could find. Slowly they began to understand how the alien tech worked. They found a way to copy some of it. Weeks passed. The Empire kept attacking, but now humans had something new. Weapons that burned brighter, drones that moved faster, and suits that made soldiers stronger. Jake trained with the new pilots. They flew old jets, but now those jets had stolen alien engines. They were faster, more agile. He led small groups on quick strikes. Hit and run, always staying one step ahead. People started calling them sky ghosts. In Africa, a group of fighters used captured alien energy rifles to take down a landing craft. In Russia, rebels built a shield generator from scrap and protected an entire town. Everywhere humans were learning, adapting, fighting. And the Empire noticed. On a massive warship, floating above Earth, alien commanders watched the data. Humans should have fallen by now. Instead, they were rising. One commander spoke into the dark. "They are not just surviving. They are changing." Below, in the ruins of what was once a city, Lisa powered up a new weapon for the first time. It hummed with blue light. Jake stood beside her, grinning. "Ready?" she asked. He nodded. "Let's see what these aliens really think of humans. Because humans do not just survive. They build, they fight, and when given a chance, they win." The sky over Earth turned red with fire and smoke as the Empire changed its plan. No longer were they just testing. Now, they were punishing. Massive warships dropped huge machines into the oceans and mountains. These machines began to change the land, making it cold or hot beyond what humans could survive. Cities were buried under ice or burned by endless sun. In Washington, D.C., Lisa Bennett worked inside a hidden bunker. She was tired, covered in sweat and dust, but her hands never stopped moving. Beside her, engineers and soldiers watched as she connected wires to alien tech pulled from old crash sites. "If this works," she said, "we can stop at least one of their big machines." Jake Monroe leaned against a wall nearby. His flight suit was torn, his face dirty from battle. He had flown through fire more than once in the last weeks. Every time he came back. "It'll work," he said. "You always make it work." Across the world, other human groups tried the same thing. Small teams with stolen weapons fighting to slow the Empire's changes to the planet. In London, Dr. Marcus Hale sat alone in a broken lab. He had not slept in days. On his screen, he watched footage from Africa, Asia, and South America. Everywhere, people were fighting. Not with big ships or lasers, but with will. He typed out a message and sent it through what little network still worked. "They are trying to break us," he wrote, "but breaking is not winning." Back in the U.S., the team got ready. Lisa's new weapon was loaded onto an old transport plane. Jake flew close behind in his modified jet, keeping watch their target, a massive alien machine near the Rocky Mountains. It was sending out waves that made the weather go wild. If they didn't stop it, the entire region would become a frozen wasteland. As they neared the site, enemy fighters rose to meet them. Plasma fire lit up the sky. Jake dove first, firing his guns. Explosions bloomed in the dark. The transport dropped low, dodging blasts, and dropped the weapon near the alien machine. Lisa and a few soldiers ran out and hooked it up. 5 minutes, she shouted. They fought hard to keep the aliens away. When the device went off, the ground shook like thunder. The alien machine cracked, then melted into glowing pieces. They had won, but they knew the Empire wouldn't stop. Because when you fight something big and powerful, you don't win all at once. You win piece by piece. And humans, they were good at that. The Empire was angry. After the humans destroyed the weather machine in the Rocky Mountains, the attacks became worse. Ships flew lower, weapons hit harder, and new kinds of alien soldiers landed on Earth. These were not like the machines, or insect-like scouts before. These were big, armored, fast. They looked like warriors built for only one thing: war. In Washington, D.C., Lisa Bennett sat in a dark bunker with maps and broken screens spread around her. She had not slept in 2 days. Food was low. Power came and went. But she kept working. "We need something bigger," she said to the others. "Something that hits back." Jake Monroe stood nearby, checking his gear. He had flown through fire more times than he could count. Now he looked tired, but still ready. "Then we build it," he said. "We always do." Meanwhile, in London, Dr. Marcus Hale read messages from all over the world. Some were from cities that still fought. Others were last words from places already lost. He found one message that made him stop. It came from someone inside the Empire. "You are not just another weak race," it said. "You fight when you should fall. We see this." Marcus stared at the screen. Someone inside the enemy was watching and maybe helping. Back in the U.S., Lisa and her team worked fast. They used pieces from old alien ships, parts from captured weapons, and even ideas from stolen data drives. What they built was not perfect, but it was strong. They called it the Aegis Shield. It would protect one city, maybe more, from orbital strikes, but they needed time to set it up. So Jake and his pilots flew again. They attacked enemy ships, drew fire, and led chases away from the work sites. Every day more of them died, but every day they bought more time. One night, Jake returned, with smoke rising from his wing. "They're getting smarter," he told Lisa. "They know what we're doing." She nodded. "Then we finish faster." In the shadows, the Empire's splinter group made contact again. They sent plans, codes, weaknesses in the alien command network. Humans were no longer just fighting. They were turning the enemy against itself, and deep inside the Empire's own ships, doubt began to grow, because no one had ever made them bleed like this. No one had ever made them question, until now, until Earth. The last battle began with silence. No warning shots, no messages, just a deep hum as the Empire's largest fleet lined up above Earth. Thousands of ships glowing like stars, waiting for the order to end everything. Below, on the broken ground of what was once a world, humans prepared for war. In Washington, D.C., Lisa Bennett stood in the command bunker. Her hands were shaking, not from fear but from tiredness. She had not slept in days. Beside her, screens flickered with data, maps, and enemy positions. "We only get one shot at this," she said. Jake Monroe stood nearby, checking his gear one last time. He looked older than he had months ago. Scars ran across his face and his eyes were heavy, but when he smiled it was still full of fire. "Then we make it count." Above them, the Aegis shield powered up. It was not perfect. It could only protect one city, and only for a short time, but it was enough to give people hope. In London, Dr. Marcus Hale watched the sky from a hidden radio tower. He had spent the last week sending messages to every human who still lived. Now, he sent one more. "Stand tall. Fight hard. We are not done." And then the first shots fired. Ships rose from hidden bases. Modified jets flew through smoke and fire. Soldiers wearing stolen armor moved through ruins, taking down alien scouts. Humans did not have the biggest army or the best weapons, but they had heart, they had will, and they had each other. Jake led the sky ghosts into the storm. They hit fast, broke lines, and disappeared before the enemy could react. Lisa guided teams from below, hacking into alien systems, turning machines against their masters. And then, the splinter group inside the Empire made its move. Enemy ships turned on each other. Codes failed. Weapons shut down. Confusion spread like fire. The Empire was breaking. As the final blast from the Aegis shield hit the command ship, a message came through. "You have proven strength. You are not weak. You may live." Lisa looked at the screen. "We don't want your permission," she whispered. We never did. Earth was still standing, not untouched, not unbroken, but alive, and ready for whatever came next.